The government has made a public promise to introduce electoral reforms in the 100-day program. What is this electoral reform?
In line with the 1978 constitution, since the general election of 1989, elections in Sri Lanka have been conducted under a system of proportional representation. Under this, seats are awarded to a party or an independent group as a proportion of the number of votes received. According to the proportional representation system, seats are provided at the district level. Prior to the adoption of the 1978 constitution, the candidate obtaining the highest number of votes in their electorate was elected to parliament. This system was commonly described as the first-past-the-post system. The proportional representation system was introduced after identifying several faults and shortcomings in this system. However, at present, several concerns have been raised against the existing proportional representation system. Accordingly, a parliamentary select committee was appointed in line with the notion on bringing about change in the electoral system. Our committee approved a mixed electoral system and presented it in Parliament. The report suggested that an electoral system combining the proportional representation system and the first-past-the-post system should be introduced, thereby abolishing the preferential voting system. According to the present system, election results are released based on 160 seats. The committee suggested that a voting system on 140 seats and 70 seats is suitable and that the national list of MPs should also be based on this. The Cabinet recently approved a mixed voting system. A decision was arrived at following discussions between the President, Attorney General, Elections Commissioner and relevant factions to introduce a new electoral system which would be a mix of the first-past-the-post system and the proportional representation system. The Elections Commissioner has promised to expedite the process in this regard.
A practical solution that builds on the work of the Parliamentary Select Committee on electoral reforms is possible. What we need to do is to keep the 2-to-1 ratio among those elected first past the post and those elected on the basis of proportional representation, but make some accommodations such as slightly increasing the size of Parliament by maybe 10 seats, and also by building in some multi-member constituencies, because I think this is very important to address all the needs, such as keeping the small parties in Parliament, allowing increasing women's participation in Parliament, and things of that nature.
There is no calendar for elections in this country. Staggered elections were held. It is a distortion of democracy. This must all change in line with electoral reform. We need MPs who are accountable to their electorate. According to the present system, we have no such MPs. There must be a method implemented to carry out elections at a lower cost. There are small parties. They must be represented in Parliament. They must be granted an opportunity to enter Parliament based on the percentage of votes received by them.
The main reason for electoral reform is based on faults within the proportional system or the failure to appoint deserving individuals. It would also be suitable if they nominate 50 women under the nominations list instead of 30.
Whatever the form of amendments they bring forth, there must be an opportunity for minor parties to represent the people. There is much talk about this now. We do not know if this will be enacted under the 100-day program or not. The mixed electoral system must be enacted properly, as the minority will be benefited through it. We have presented proposals based on research carried out into this. What has been proposed is that 70% must be based on the first-past-the-post system and 30% based on preferential voting. If it is possible to implement 60% based on the first-past-the-post system and 40% on preferential voting, then we could expect favourable results from this. We are 500% in agreement with the electoral reforms. Even if there is a preferential voting system, the JVP will not contest that way. So this is in no way a threat to us. Electoral reform is not being postponed because the JVP is fearful. So what we suggest is, don't overthink this. Go ahead and enact what can be enacted now.
මොකක්වත් කරන්න හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ. කරන්න පුළුවන් ටික දැන් වෙලාවේ කරමු. දැන් මූලික සාකච්ඡා නිකන් තිබිලා තියෙනවා.
මේ සංශෝධනයේට එනවද ඒක?
නෑ නෑ ඒක වෙනම සංශෝධනයක්. අපි කියවනේ මේ දෙක පටලවා ගන්න නැහැ කියලා.